Abba-dee-ba-ba-do. Hey, how's it going? This is Jeremy. This is the Genesee County Compassion Club Show. How's everybody doing out there today? It is not so wonderful of a day, I gotta say. I mean, the weather kind of blows right now. It's April 13th. We're moving way through April, but I think we're getting payback now for those 50-degree days that we got in February. But anyway, hey, we're back in the studios here at allpointstv.com. I got John behind the cam making it happen, and glad to be here, man. We're going to be some awesome times. We got some news I want to share with you today. I also want to let you know what's happening down at the Genesee County Compassion Club show, and we got some awesome things happening here. April is just a fantastic time. Spring's coming. You know, everybody's getting around. I see trees going on trailers down the road. It's that planting time. You know, it's just in the spring thing, but the weather just is not cooperating. You know, today is 45, and it's just got me out of sorts. Does everybody else feel that way? Like, come on, let's go. John, are you?
I wish we had this good weather 6 months ago. I mean, I can't stand winter.
It's just not coming. So, but at any rate, I relent. Hey, I want to share with you the events that we've got going down at the Genesee County Compassion Club. We've got some awesome times. Like I said, April is obviously busy. And 1 week from today, super exciting, we have our 420 party. It's our annual celebration of freedom, annual celebration of our medical marijuana that we have here in Michigan, afforded to us by the state of Michigan. And it's an awesome time for you guys to come out and check it out. If you are a Michigan patient or caregiver, it's the place to be. April 20th. Come on down. It's going to be fantastic time. We've got all kinds of great food planned. We're going to have a hot dog vendor there. A guy from Davison comes out every year. He's kind of becoming a club favorite. His hot dog inventions are, I mean, if you're not even a hot dog lover, you will be after you try one of his. He puts some wild, crazy combos together that you haven't thought of previously, and you're like, man, that's good. You know, we were just talking about Burger King before the show. These are not Burger King hot dogs, all right? Man, I saw the commercials, Burger King slinging hot dogs now. It just doesn't make me want to go run to Burger King, but these make you want to go run, man. These are the good stuff. Anyways, I'm going on about hot dogs here. We're going to have backyard barbecue as well. Their stuff is off the shelf, incredible, crazy, good barbecue. That's also included. Your tickets are $20. It includes all the food, all the fun and activities. We're going to have as well to the food. We're going to have our annual twist-off contest. I'm going to see who's got the fastest roll. I know previous years we've been in the 6-second range, which is incredibly quick for being able to roll up something. We're going to see who's the fastest this year. We're also going to see who can do the best overall. And in addition to the twist-off contest, we're going to have our bud and concentrate contest. I know that time is getting short to get your entries in. We need to be able to have those tested. So make sure you get your entries in if you haven't done so already. But we will be having the best flour and the best concentrate. And can't wait to see who's going to be pulling that off this year. I know last year we had entries in the flour category that were well above 20% cannabinoids. And in the concentrate level, I think we were pushing like 70s, 80s. Just incredible, crazy concentrations and incredible, crazy, good products that our caregivers are putting together, that you guys are making happen. And it goes to show that with a little care and energy, you can produce the absolute finest material out there, and that, you know, the High Times has got nothing on you guys. You guys make it happen. And in fact, High Times comes here to see what you're doing. So I want to make sure I mention that as well. There is a High Times event this year. I believe it's going on in June. So you guys want to check that out. But back to before June, just 1 week away is the 420 party right at the G3C. So get on down there, get your tickets. Be there. It's going to be going on all day. The twist off and the food usually happens in the afternoon, sometime around 4:20. So that's a good time to be at the club if you're planning on coming out. So
somebody asked me too. It's like, do you have to be a member to come to the party?
You could hang out in the parking lot if you're not a member, but you do need to be a member if you want to come inside. You need to be a medical marijuana patient or caregiver and have a valid card with you, and also have valid ID with you as well. To become a member, and then once you're a member, you'll have to have your membership card in addition to that. So yes, you do need to be a member to attend the event, and you do need to be a registered patient or caregiver as well. So very important, and unfortunate if you're not one of those, you're not going to be able to come in. So we do have some events that are outside of the building, and we're going to have a little bit of information available in, I believe it's going to be going on in our educational center, where we're going to be having some local politicians coming in, folks who are running for office, folks who are already in office, that you can sit down, talk to, get to know, ask questions of, of, and it's one of the things that we're putting on as a part of the celebration to help get our membership involved and educated into what's happening in their communities. So that's also part of it, and we want to make sure that you include that in your list of things to do at the 420 party. So you don't have to be a member to be a part of that, John. So thanks for bringing it up.
Because I like to go and I've been there 2 or 3 times. So yeah, but it's like it's the weather though. You have something with you because you don't know what's going to change. The weather changes.
Absolutely.
Remember one time we had a downpour.
I know everybody right now is checking their forecast, and it's Michigan. It's still a week away. We really have no idea what things could be like. So we'll dress in layers. I think is probably the biggest thing I could tell you, and then that way, if it gets hot, you can take some off. So. All right, other events we've got going on. Obviously, the 420 party is huge, and we're super excited about it and can't wait to have it happen. We want to see you be there and join us. We're going to have some celebrity guest judging as well. I want to make sure I mention that too, because there's going to be some big names in the club, and that's always exciting. So we've got Genesee from the Dayton family. We've got former Red Wings great Darren McCarty, and I think we've also got a couple of local celebrities like 710 Savant and a couple other folks from the club that y'all know. So it's going to be off the hook as far as the judging goes. They're going to have some real credibility, some real throwdown as to whoever takes this cup home this year. Not only is this the 7th annual 420 party, but they're going to be getting judged by some pretty awesome people. So that's pretty cool. You'll be able to take that along with the cup. So it's got some credence, some awesomeness to it, extra awesomeness. So that'll be there. And then, the 420 party is going to be awesome, John. I wish you could be there.
I was going to say, I'm going to probably be there. I'm going to try to be on there, at least to maybe catch some of the action, people coming in, with the camera. So
and I've heard rumors that potentially maybe John Sinclair will be stopping by, maybe a couple other people. So, I don't want to make any promises, but he has been at our 420 party before. Hopefully he'll be able to make it this year. I mean,
wasn't he living in the Netherlands for a long time?
John Sinclair is he's bigger than any one place.
Yeah, because
you know what I mean, he is all over the world. And you're right, he was over in the Netherlands. He's done a radio show from Amsterdam for 30 years. I mean, but he's also primarily, obviously, people know him from being the Detroit area. He was the one that was arrested, put in jail for a joint. If you haven't heard the song John Lennon wrote about him, you can YouTube check it out. It's got a pretty good, I want to say it's like a steel guitar, maybe a dobro in there. It's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's another thing is too, he was a significant player, and he is originally from Flint.
Right,
Flint
exactly.
area.
That's what I was just going to say, is that he's originally a Flintoid. So, but yeah, he's bigger than any one place, really. But John Sinclair, he's been a member for a long time, honorary member of the club, and we're super excited just to know him. But maybe he'll be there as well at the party. So I've heard a lot of people might be stopping by at a good old 420 party. All right, I'm going to move on to other events here. That's enough about that. I definitely want to make sure I mentioned it. We're going to have, in celebration of Earth Day, another big name at the club, and this is going to be on April 22nd, so just 2 days after the party. Mr. DJ Short is going to be giving a special talk at the G3C. He's world-renowned seed breeder, cannabis cultivator, and it's going to be exciting to have him back at the club again. I know sometimes he also has genetics as well. I don't know if he will this time or not, but he will have his knowledge, and he's going to be willing to share that with you at a special event at the club. How often do you get to sit down and talk to somebody who is just world-renowned cannabis grower? Not very often. And here's somebody who really knows this stuff, and it's got some pretty cool stories too. So we're excited to have DJ Short back at the club, and that is going to be on Earth Day. That is April 22nd. So that's going to be at 6 p.m. specifically. I think he's going to be there a little bit longer than just at 6. So, all right. Also want to make sure I mention everybody's favorite, the Soup Kitchen. It's going to be happening last Friday in April. I believe it's April 29th. Happens down at the North End Soup Kitchen. Make sure you're ready. Make sure you're ready to serve, and I'm looking forward to that as well. And one more event I wanted to make sure I mentioned. It's kind of in between then. It's April 23rd. It is the Adopt a Highway. We could definitely use your help for this. We're going to be cleaning M13. We're going to meet at the club, I believe, 9 a.m., and we're going to get this thing rocked out. So if you guys can help out, it's a Saturday. Bring yourself some gloves. We'll have bags provided by Michigan's Adopt a Highway program. We'll watch a safety video, and then we'll cruise on out to M13, and we're going to clean up, I believe it's a 2-mile strip that we clean up. So we do need you to be able to walk and carry just a little bit of trash. Nothing's real heavy. You can bring a pick and stick if you want, so that way you don't have to bend over if that's not good for you. Make sure you bring some shoes that are going to keep your feet dry if you can, because it will be a little bit wet. And again, this is the first highway cleanup of 2016. So unfortunately, we've had all winter long to collect all the debris and whatnot, so we're going to need your help. And if you can make it out on that Saturday, usually it takes a couple hours. Normally we're done by like around noon, 1 o'clock, and we go back to the club and we get fed extra special food for being extra cool volunteers. That means you. And then you're done. So you're finished by usually 1:30, 2 o'clock. You can get out there, enjoy the rest of your Saturday, or get back in the club if that's what you want to do. And we really appreciate it. It's a privilege to be able to be here in Michigan and be operating, and we've always wanted to be a good example. This is one of the ways that we do that. So hope you can help us out, and we'll hope to see you on, like I said, that was April 23rd. All right, so that's the events for the G3C. Hopefully you can join us. If you haven't been down to the G3C, we're located on the corner of Richfield and Center in Genesee Township. We've been there for 8 years now, coming up, and I believe our anniversary date was in March, so it's been 8 years. 7 years of, actual anniversary, so it's pretty cool. You guys get down there, join us, and you're going to love it. You know what I'm saying? I got some news and events I wanted to bring to you from around the country, around the state, about medical marijuana and marijuana in general. So I'm going to start it out with the state to the south. This is in the city of Orlando. Looks like they might decriminalize small amounts of marijuana. So maybe Mickey Mouse can finally take a puff and not get a felony for it. Basically, it says here the city council on Monday would consider an ordinance that would make possession of 20 grams, or about 2/3 of an ounce, or less, a violation of city code, carrying a fine of just $50 for first-time offenders, similar to a traffic ticket. So actually, it's very similar to what the city of Flint has already passed. So in a way, you could say Flint is more progressive than Orlando. We're ahead of the game. But yeah, so it looks like Orlando's coming around. And that's a state that doesn't really have a medical marijuana program. The voters rejected that back here just this last year. So that's pretty forward-thinking ordinance by the city of Orlando. And I know that they've had a conservative history with having Disney have such an impact on the city there and so on. Obviously, they want to keep it a friendly place for the families to come to. But at the same time, they realize that, hitting people with, trumped up fines and fees for something that isn't hurting anybody is not the way to go. It's not the way to allow those people to move forward and have a positive impact on society if they're trudging past a criminal record, for no reason. So I think this is a good thing. Say kudos to the city of Orlando. Kudos to the city of Flint for beating them to it. And kudos to a lot of Michigan cities that have already passed these ordinances. I think we've got like 14 different cities across the state that have passed decriminalization or some other type of legislation that says, hey, look, if you get caught with a small amounts for personal use, or if you're on your own private property, basically it should just either be a traffic ticket equivalent type of thing, or just no fine, no fee at all. I mean, these are, in a sense, there's no crime here. Nobody's getting hurt. It's not talking about drug dealers and gang crime and stuff like that. This is just somebody who's minding their own business, and we shouldn't be trying to ruin their lives over that.
Yeah, so. Michigan actually too. I had a friend just tell me yesterday she loved Ohio. She had a good job down there.
Yeah,
but she's using medical marijuana for her to treat her multiple sclerosis, and she had to come back here because in Michigan, and it's hard for her to keep a job coming, money coming in, but she has to do it. They had to weigh that in because down there she paid when she first got down there and she did find a source. It was $600 an ounce.
Wow.
And she said it was crap,
and highly illegal.
Yeah, and highly illegal. Yeah, so so that's one thing. That was just an illustration of where Michigan is far more advanced than just Ohio, which is better than a lot of other stuff for other things.
A law like this one that they just passed in Orlando would even be helpful to someone in that position. It might not be helpful for them when they're making that purchase, but once they got it in their hands in their home on their own property, and she's using it for her medicinal purposes, if she, even though it's still illegal in her area, the police would be able to just simply give her the equivalent of a parking ticket, and she could go on about her day rather than facing a drug type crime, which would most likely in a lot of cases be a felony. So that's not what these laws are intended to do, and that's not the type of criminal that we're looking to go after as a society. So we have to remember, in Michigan, we've had this medical marijuana law now since 2008. A lot of people have forgotten just how good we have it. And you look in other states like Ohio or these other places that do not have any type of medicinal marijuana protection for these folks. And someone like that person right there who really can only go out and do their job and be who they are if they have marijuana is told that if they do so, they're an automatic criminal and they're going to be risking everything about their life for doing so. And that type of mentality just is exactly why the Michigan people stepped up and said, that's ridiculous. If people need to use this to get through their day, to be a better person, then they absolutely should be able to, and they should be able to do so without fear of prosecution. And that's why we did this. And we did this also in the name of being able to free up law enforcement to go after real crime. And I hope that that's the impact that it's supposed to have. I hope that that's what's happened. But here in Michigan, it seems to be a mixed result, or a mixed bag of results, if you will. Certainly there's been a lot of people now that have been able to have their medication that previously couldn't. There's no denying of that. I mean, we have close to 200,000 people registered in this state. I think the state's reporting 175 or 180,000 patients. So, I mean, there's a lot of people now that have access to medical marijuana that previously didn't. But there's also a whole lot of other people that have gone through a whole lot of criminal charges, court cases, and in some cases even have been convicted of crimes that thought they were legally participating in this program. So while we've certainly allowed people to get access, we've also caused a pretty large amount, or I would say a pretty good sized percentage of our law enforcement resources we've now dedicated to going after people who are supposed to be protected by this law. And that seems counterproductive.
By the way, she told me, too, she's off all the prescription medications for multiple sclerosis, doing much better with the symptoms as well as being able to function and just using medical marijuana.
Absolutely.
So that's just another testimony right there. I mean, and that basically some people want to be dismissive of that kind of stuff, but almost all science can be actually reduced if you want to be, so have so much scrutiny on it, can be to reduce anecdotal information.
And we found that with a lot of our members. We've got a large membership base at the G3C, and a lot of those folks have been able to get off of certain prescription medications because of their medical marijuana use. They said, I don't need these things anymore. This is doing a better job than what I had. And that's not always about just trying to get off of medication, but you have to remember that most medications come with pretty harmful side effects. And so to be able to remove the possibility of experiencing those, for most people, that's a risk that they're willing to take. So obviously we don't want to recommend that everybody just goes and drops all their prescription meds. That's something that you need to discuss with your doctor. But we've found that quite a few physicians have said, look, if we can get you off of this particular type of medication that we're prescribing to you, and you can use cannabis, which is less harmful and has less side effects than this one does, then yes, you absolutely should do that. So we're hearing that. We're hearing that from our patients, from our members, and from physicians. And I think it's something that I would say, that's something you can discuss with your doctor. If you are now starting to use medical marijuana and you find that, hey, I don't really need these other things, well, you might be able to get off of them. So that's something you got to talk to the doctor about. And talking about, creating all these different types of opportunities. I want to bring up a story. This is from Spokane, Washington. And Washington's one of the states that last year approved cannabis for recreational purposes. They've had a medical marijuana program in their state for quite some time. But last year, like I said, they opened it up to the recreational market. And this is an article, let's see here, from the Associated Press. Basically, it says, Spokane, Washington, the amount of money spent on legal marijuana sales in Spokane County last year was larger than the retail sales of wine, bread, or milk. And that was according to the sales numbers put out by the Washington Liquor and Cannabis Board and a survey of household expenses conducted by the U.S. Census Bureau. It says monthly sales of pot topped $5 million in Spokane County for the first time in March, which is on track to top receipts at area bookstores, museums, and live music venues, according to figures released by the Washington Department of Revenue. So certainly there has been a lot of, obviously, growth there in Washington, and there's been a lot of growth here in Michigan economically because of the medical marijuana that is now available to patients here. I think it's something that we have to look at, and I think that the types of businesses that have been created need to be recognized. if we continue to think that we can just hand this industry over to big pharma or large corporations and just let a few people handle this, we have to think of the ramifications that will have on the Main Street market here in Michigan. And, being able to have a Main Street market in this type of an industry and in this type of a product, I think is essential, because it also at the same time eliminates the possibility of a black market thriving. Which, if you have a huge corporation just controlling a few products and nobody else has the ability to produce it, obviously it thrives or creates a black market. And that's not something that we want to see here in Michigan. I was looking up the population of Spokane County just as a comparison. 2013, the population in Spokane County was about 500,000, 480,000 people. And if I'm not mistaken, Genesee County is about the same amount. Does that sound about right, John?
Yeah.
I know the numbers have gone down in the last few recent years, but I think we're still somewhere in that neighborhood, 400, 450.
The county, yeah.
Yeah, the county.
Yeah.
And, if you look at the amount of revenue that's being created in one county in the state of Washington, think about that across all the counties in Michigan. I think Michigan has like 80 counties. Sound about right?
That's right, 80 counties, yeah.
So, and obviously not every county represents the same growth and opportunity that, they all do, but you got to look at that. That's a huge amount of growth and opportunity for Main Street that could potentially happen. All right, we'll talk about a couple other things going on here. I did mention earlier, and I just want to mention it again, we have the Cannabis Cup coming up here in Michigan. That it's a High Times Cannabis Cup. Looks like it's scheduled to go on at the same time and place, or excuse me, same place anyways, the Auto City Speedway in Vienna Township. That's just north of Flint. Happened in June 11th and 12th. You guys can check that out. I know you just had the Hash Bash here a couple weeks ago. I know it was a big event, big turnout. As always an awesome time. So it's so cool that Michigan's got that heritage here going on and has. All right, something else that's been happening here in Michigan I want to bring up. This is just recent. This is over to the west of the state in Portage, Michigan. Portage is over by Kalamazoo, over south of Grand Rapids, if you're not familiar. Anyways, Portage has had some medical marijuana businesses there, and then they went, and then they came. So it's been kind of a tumultuous battle in the city of Portage. But currently, right now, they're considering a moratorium on medical marijuana dispensaries and a review of the current ordinances in the midst of several questions and challenges that have been raised by the public. It says here, several people urged the city in Tuesday to reconsider its 2011 medical marijuana ordinance that restricts a patient-caregiver exchange to a home occupation rather than a separate business. So their ordinance kind of said, no, you can't have any type of transfers going on outside of somebody's home. In response, the city manager, Larry Schaefer, and the Portage City Council members said that the next meeting, April 26th, at the council will consider a 6-month moratorium on the medical marijuana issue that would review its current ordinance, halt any new medical marijuana business, and examine what other cities are doing. They'll hear arguments for changes and look at what the Medical Marijuana Act will allow. All right, so I think that kind of brings up an important point. Right now we've got the bills that have been proposed quite a while ago in the House and in the Senate. They don't seem to be going anywhere, and there seems to be a lot of people that do support it and a whole lot of people that don't support it. So my feelings on these bills is that if they're going to go any farther, they're going to have some drastic change put into them for them to be accepted by the majority of people. And I think it also goes to show that this particular article is pointing out there's a lot of cities out there that are still waiting for direction from the state on how they should put together ordinances. I think that the cities are going to have to step up and start to carve out their own ways, kind of like Flint already has done, and like a lot of other cities and townships around the state have done. I think it's good for them to go ahead and decide how they want these businesses. The chances that the industry is going to continue to grow are pretty high. I mean, marijuana isn't going anywhere. The cat's out of the bag. And most of our township officials and city officials, they know that this isn't going to be something that's going to stop. So I think it'd be wise of them to go ahead and start to license and pattern their cities in a way that they continue to have done, but that would also include room for medical marijuana type industry growth, such as you already have for grow stores and in some cases provisioning centers, but also in some cases growing centers. And I think these things need to be looked at for expansion And with the careful guidance of our cities, I think the industry would have the ability to continue to grow in spite of what our state legislators may or may not do. Obviously, there's public support here. We have had countless surveys be put out across the state, not just for medical marijuana, but for recreational as well and adult use, that show overwhelming public support in a majority fashion for marijuana in general. And I think it's something that has gone in the last, at least here in Michigan, in the last 8 years, it's gone from in the closet to mainstream. No question about it. You can turn on your TV at any night and watch a program about the marijuana industry. People know about it now, and so I think what we have to do is just simply move forward in an acceptable, responsible way that can work for the industry, but also work for the cities that are going to contain them. So I would like to encourage our officials to step forward. I know that a lot of folks out there are getting ready to develop a platform. Maybe they're looking to run for office, or maybe they already have decided to do so. I think it would be good of them to look at this in a positive manner so that we can continue growth, so that we continue to provide safety. And like I said, this is a positive thing. So hopefully we will have that. Hopefully we as a public can encourage our leaders to want to step up and feel comfortable in accepting that responsibility. A lot of folks in the past in the leadership spotlights have backed away from marijuana and said, I don't want anything to do with it. It's sort of a hot button issue. It's something that causes controversy. I think it still is that type of an issue, but it can be dealt with very easily through the proper education and through proper regulation and responsible use practices. These are things that have already been developed. If we look at other states, such as like Colorado, that have been more accepting, states like Washington that are starting to open up more and more, these models are already being completed in other areas. So it's not like we have to reinvent the wheel. We just simply have to look at what's already working, what isn't working, and develop an improved practice for what should be happening here in Michigan. The ones that have been proposed so far are simply old school models, draconian thought ideas that really have no application in today's modern place here in Michigan, a forward-thinking place that, used to, back 100 years ago, Michigan was the land of opportunity, and there's no reason why it can't be again. So hopefully our people will be able to step up. They can need your support to tell them to do so, and hopefully you guys can find out a little bit more about that during our 420 party, which is going to be next Wednesday. So again, I'll just make sure I mention it one more time. Come on down next Wednesday to the G3C, looking to have a good time, looking to be just a wonderful celebration. So thanks for joining me this week on the Genesee County Compassion Club show. I'm your host, Jeremy. Hope to catch you here next week. And make sure you check out all the important podcasts that we have to offer at allpointstv.com. Thanks a lot, and God bless you. See you.